So let's elevate our thoughts to our Almighty Father. With His infinite mercy towards us, sending us permanently some teachers, some good spirits, benefactors, amongst which Allan Kardec, who brought us this wonderful mediums book that we are studying during these sessions for a couple of months now. So we are immensely grateful to have this opportunity. May we perceive and understand well these teachings, so that when the case presents, we can put them in practice and use them to make our best to help wherever we can, here in the material world and also in the spiritual world. So be it.
Amen.
So we stopped last time at this question. We are in the chapter, how can we distinguish the identity of the spirits, if the spirits are good, trustful or not. And we were at item 267. So which is basically Kardec is giving us a checklist, a summary of what are the means we can use for recognizing the quality of the spirits in the spirits which are communicating in a mediumistic meeting, for instance. So it's quite important because better we rather know who is in front of us, whether it's an entity which is trustful or not. So it's something that I clearly advise to read and read and read again. So we saw in the summary the points 1 to 16, and we stopped at the item 17 last week. So we will restart from this item 17. Here we are. Which says us, good spirits teach only what is good. It's obvious, isn't it? No? Every maxim, every bit of advice that does not strictly conform to the purest evangelical charity could not come from a good spirit. So here again we have this question of what is good and what is not good, the harmony with the laws of nature, as we have seen already. And here Kardec used the purest evangelical charity. So this does not mean that it's only the gospel that we give some preference, the spiritists should give some preference to the Christians or whatsoever. It's simply to mention these moral teachings which are in the gospel as a good example of what we should follow. Now, of course, the same moral laws which we can find in the gospel, we can find them also in the other religious books and teachings, like the Vedas, like the Quran, and so on. Munir?
Oh, hi, Charles. Good morning, everyone. No, I just want to call the attention to the word strictly. That word, called my attention when I was reading. Strictly conform, not just conform, So we see, how strict it has to be. And, if they are really good spirits, they won't, say a single word that is not, in accordance to the purest evangelical charity.
And we have here also the name charity. So what is charity? It's not just to throw a coin, or even less throw a coin and making a selfie at the same time. But it is, as per the question 886 of the Spirit's book, benevolence for everyone, indulgence towards the imperfection of the others, and forgiveness of the offenses. So this is what is understood by charity. So you see, if you see something which is not strictly conforming to this benevolence, so willing the good of the others. Heavily criticizing something or someone, for instance, cannot come from a good spirit. Indulgence as well. Who is not? We are all imperfect here. Perfection is only God. So if we don't have these indulgence one towards the other, we will not be able to do anything because we are not perfect. So we need this indulgence so that we can live and work together. Okay. So same, what is not strictly conforming with this principle of indulgence. For instance, no, you have done something wrong, shouting and criticizing and how to say, no, this is also cannot come from a good spirit. And forgiveness is it's the step after. When we have really suffered something, we should forgive. So here in the messages from the spirits, it's the same. The message which are not encouraging us for forgiveness also do not come from a good spirit. Okay. 18. Good spirits only provide perfectly reasonable advice. Every recommendation that departs from the straight line of common sense or the immutable laws of nature betrays the presence of a narrow-minded spirit and is therefore unworthy of trust. So this one is a little bit more subtle. I don't know if the name exists in English. And reasonable advice. So always, let's say, with straight line, in the straight line of the common sense. So because sometimes you can have spirits which are recommending you, you should do, some exotic advices, some strange practices and things like that. No, if it does not make sense, it's something which is probably induced by a spirit which is not worthy of trust. Okay. So, and this is, I mean, when we see how Kardec behaved, the way he's writing all this to us, please stay always with the feet on the floor. Don't let you, I use the expression, don't let you satellize, don't let you take to dreams and utopical stuff, things which are out of our time, because the advices they give us, they must be practical for us today. They must answer to the concern we have today. They must encourage us to do things with the means we have today. If it's out of this basis, it's also how to say, we need to be careful. 19. Plainly evil or simply imperfect spirit also reveal themselves through physical signs that should not deceive anyone. Their action upon a medium is sometimes violent, provoking, brusque, and jerking movements, a feverish and convulsive agitation that contrasts with the calm and the gentleness of good spirits. So you see here, it's not purely analyzing what they are saying, but is also seeing how the effect of their action on the medium itself. By as he says, physical signs. How many times we can see some people or some mediums who have some strange movements and so on before receiving a spirit and things like this. It's not a good sign. That when a spirit is coming, the voice changes and so on. This is possible. We can see it, for instance, as an example, taking as an example Divaldo Pereira Franco, when he's doing some lectures. After the lectures, from time to time, he gets a communication from Bezerra de Menezes. So you see his voice changes, but never he does strange movements or shaking or, breathing very strong. All these signs, all these things are not good signs. Well, it's more like, say, I would say cinema, some theatrical behavior, and good spirits, they don't need that. Okay, they make the things smoother, with calm, gentleness, and so on. Okay. 20. Imperfect spirits often take advantage of the means of communication at their disposal to offer bad counsel, and they arouse distrust and animosity amongst those whom they dislike. Anyone who might unmask their deceit is especially a target of their malevolence.
Slightly after the 100. How did you approach the 50 tonight? Is it still,
Okay.
is it still unfinished
So,
business?
No, for me, it's definitely approaching every race and just, trying to have fun.
Voilà. So you can see, well, this is obvious. Criticizing someone, inspiring distrust and animosity. No, you should not listen to that one, or you should follow. It's unfortunately what we see a lot around us, particularly in this period of elections as we had in Europe, and that we continue having in France. When you see the people talking very badly from the other, or from the one they want to take their place, but you see immediately that what is motivating them is not the benevolence, it's not the good of the community. It is more showing some personal will and some selfishness or some excessive pride. So this cannot come from good spirits. Good spirits, they will say, okay, if you have a problem with someone, please be patient. Please go there and try to forgive. They will give us the advices in the sense of the charity, and never inspire us distrust and animosity. This can never come from a good spirit. Okay. And what will the good spirit do? They want to isolate us from the people who can give us the good advices, saying, be careful, not sure that the spirit which is saying you this type of things in this form, as we can see here, is really trustable. And this is what this bad spirit want, to isolate us and to take us apart so that they can better control us and dominate us. And this can then go up to the obsession, as we have seen previously in a previous chapter. Frail individuals become the target of their efforts and are led by them into evil. They alternately use sophism, sarcasm, abuse, and even physical proof of their occult power to better convince such victims and turn them from the way of truth. So what is a sophism? Sophism is a right reasoning, but starting on a false hypothesis, okay? A false starting point. Then you do a good reasoning, which sounds logical and true. But when you start from a false hypothesis, you can only reach a false conclusion. So this is a sophism. But sometimes the reasoning can be absolutely true, and this can mislead us. Sarcasm, also it's not very polite. Abuse, and even physical proof of their occult power, because these spirits, sometimes they can detect things and say things which are true. They can follow us, or they can follow other people and tell us things which are true, that may impress us, and to give them trust. No, this is not, everyone can go, you see, even amongst us, some bad person can follow you without you noting it, and then tell us, today you did this, you did that. How does he know that? If he knows that, he's a good spirit. No. Every spirit can do that, even the one which are not so good. So do not let you impress by such things, proof of their occult power. Because what do they want, really? It's here, to target weak or frail individuals and lead them to evil, take them away from good and lead them to evil. Because most of these spirits, they want to slow down the progress on which they are a lot behind. So they are just retaining us. No, please do not progress because if we progress at a given point in time, they cannot reach us anymore. And they will then, have to maybe migrate to a place which is more in harmony with their current state of evolution. So this makes sense also. It's quite straightforward. 21. The spirits of persons who have had a sole physical or moral preoccupation on the earth, who have not yet managed to free themselves from the influence of the matter, continue to be dominated by earthly ideas. Consequently, they bring with them some of the prejudices and predilections and even the same manias they had whilst living on this world. This is easy to recognize by their language. It also makes sense, the people who had, some physical or moral preoccupation on earth, they will continue on that line, even if it's past. They did not yet jump really into the spiritual world. They remain, as majority of the spirits, imperfect spirits, they remain close to the earth with the same earthly ideas. So it's another way to recognize the good spirits. No, they see the things from more distance, They embrace a wider view, bigger lateral view on everything, and do not focus on some particular earthly concerns. 22. The knowledge which certain spirits often use to adorn themselves with a sort of ostentation is no sign of superiority. The true touchstone for verifying superiority is the inalterable purity of their moral sentiments. So knowledge, we talk here about intellectual evolution. And you see, intellectual evolution does not always correlate with moral evolution. So the intelligence does not mean that the person is good. And I would even add to this, the worst and the most dangerous one are exactly those who are intelligent, but not morally advanced, because they use their intelligence to do the evil. So it's much more dangerous, someone like this, than a person which does not have the intelligence, even if it's evil, because you will detect it quicker and easier than someone which is intelligent and which can use his intelligence to cheat you, to lead you into mistake. Christine?
Thanks, Charles. I just wanted to ask back to number 21, where you talk about spirits that they've got that matter and they can't disconnect from earthly issues. Is there a time frame, or is it something that, even though you may try and help that spirit, or they come through at a meeting, what's a way to make sure that you can help that spirit to disconnect from the earthly matter, to move on?
So this is exactly what we have to try to do at any moment when such spirits is appearing. First, not fall into his traps, not taking care not to follow his advices, because he will try to push us to his concerns, you know, which is not useful for us. So we will have really tried to push him out of his earthly concern and perceive better the spiritual world around him, and leave these earthly things behind, and plan for the future. But there is no given time frame, because it depends from one spirit to the other. Some you will manage quite quickly and easily to bring them to better thoughts, better dispositions. Some others you will not be able to do it short time. It will take a longer time. So it's case by case. Some people really can take centuries staying into earthly concerns, or it can be concerns of belonging they had on earth, but which is now completely useless for them in the spiritual world. Some other, it may take some time, and it's understandable, but they will understand quicker that they have no action on this anymore. That particularly if we detect them and don't give them way in their concerns, and try to say them, look, my brother, just try to forget those things. You need to leave that behind. You don't need that anymore today to take care of you. You need to think something different, and so on, you know. But each case is a case in this. Elzoli?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Because they took my paper here, so people can come here to do something here, and do why I could find it almost my I come a little bit later in the study. I would like to say about the fact that thank you so, Christina, to this, because André Luiz now come to another side. First, it was very, he suffered very much one time in Umbral, and but when he prayed and said, so contact with Clarencio, or Clarencio took him to another side, to another place to be start treatment with him. He really think that he was a doctor. He was a doctor, so he couldn't forgot their last life, and he take it at he could start to work some doctor, and Clarencio, as soon he understood how the mechanism there in another side, but because it's very common to another side, what we think when we I think it is very difficult for I think the majority of us to forget all the good spirits already here in the earth that do only good things. They have a very good spirituality inside, so they can forgot, because they would they say, now I will die, and I would forget everything and start a new life to another side. And it happens. They forgot, because but it's, I think it's almost normal so that we can remember things we did. Why the say here that we can come and talk when we on mediumships works, and somebody can recognize them because our family recognize, because they say, "Wait, it's the same, it's the same." So like this one. I don't know if you understood it. I'm sorry. My English
Yeah,
is
I think
so
the example you gave, Zoli, of André Louise is quite interesting. And
Thank you.
the example of André Louise, so André, bon, he started, as you said, in the Umbral, in the difficult situation. Then he got, because of certain reasons, and when he went to No Solar, of course, he was there to try to help the people who were arriving, and he wanted to treat them like a doctor. And then you had the nurse. It didn't went very well, huh? And the nurse came to say him, "Hey, please, it does not work like this here. Huh? Take the broom and go cleaning the soil, or do something different, huh? Because it's a typical example. Huh? The laws of nature are not the same in the physical world and in the spiritual world, where everything works by the thought, by the good intention. And this was exactly one of the difficulties he had. He was a doctor, he could treat the person, but he not always did it with good intentions. And that is, by the way, one of the reasons why he went like that. So when someone comes from the spiritual world and give you really some this type of earthly, or trying to show intelligence, okay, intelligence is one thing, but what do you want? Do you want to do good or not? Why do you come and to tell that to us? And these are the questions who help us to detect this type of things. Because again, I tell you, the ones which are intelligent but morally less advanced are the worst, are the most dangerous ones. And I can even say these ones are the ones who are leading our world today. A majority of them are exactly people intelligent and using their intelligence not in the good way. So this gives corruption, abuse of authority, manipulations, robbery and whatever. The one who should lead the world should be exactly the opposite. The one which are at the same time intelligent and good. And it's better to have someone good with less intelligence than someone with more intelligence and which is not so good, clearly. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I don't know what you think about, but when we have to vote again here in France, and I try really to apply this every time. Where is the one who shows more disinterestedness, who shows more abnegation, and who is really willing more to help the society and the community than just to have a position, earn money, and have some power or whatever. But it's sometimes difficult to find in the list the people who, let's say, come closer to this ideal, but the full ideal, it's very seldom you get it. But with the spirits, it's quite clear. You can detect them. The good spirits are always combining the knowledge and the moral sentiments. Okay. 23. It is not enough to simply question a spirit in order to know the truth. We must above all know whom we are addressing. For due to their own ignorance, less evolved spirits deal lightheartedly with the most serious questions. So no, I will ask to the spirits. Okay, you ask the spirits. No, Kardec is saying, to whom are you asking? because it's the same in the common life. When you ask something to someone, honest people will tell you, "Oh, sorry, I don't know. I have not the knowledge to do that." But some people, they will come and answer you and give you their opinion, which may be completely false. So it's of no use to ask a question to someone who will give you a false answer. I mean, the only use is to develop your discernment, your attention. So this is what Kardec is advising us here. It is also not enough for a spirit to have been a great individual while on earth to subsequently be possessed of high knowledge in the spirit world. Only virtue can purify it, bring it closer to God, and broaden his knowledge. So you have a very well-known scientist or big reputation political person or whatever. Is he really virtuous? That is a question we need to see, because the hierarchy in the spiritual world is very clear. It's the most evolved one, which has the lead. And what is good in the spiritual world is this hierarchy, this position, hierarchy in the position, is comes out naturally. Here on earth, we have the mask, we can hide ourselves and so on. And that is why you have these intelligent people, but not very good intentioned, which sometimes get very high position. But in the spiritual world, this does not work, it does not exist. Nevertheless, the spirits, so we should not let us impress by a spirit who was a known person here on earth, because he may not be so renowned in the spiritual world. Munir?
Oh, hi, Charles. No, I find this very important, this comment here by Kardec, because it applies to us as spiritists as well. I mean, we may know everything, word by words that is in the spiritist books, in literature, know very well, and perhaps even lecture on topics regarding spiritism. But if we don't use this knowledge to develop our virtues, we clearly see that only virtue, can purify us. So, that applies also to, those who have the blessings of being, in contact with the spiritism and getting to read and to study it. But the utmost principle there is actually to apply that to develop our virtues.
Exactly. Exactly. 24. The pleasantries of highly evolved spirits are often subtle and keen, but never banal. Among mocking spirits, those who are not too crass, biting, sarcasm is almost always apropos. So you see, highly evolved spirits, they sometimes they are not sad. They are happy. They can have some try to make us laugh, or to come also with some pleasantries which are subtle and keen, but never, as he says, banal. So it's also a mistake to think that the good spirits are all very sad, very serious, like in the church, blah, 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 blah. No, they really induce us to happiness, to joy. It's something which is also existing with them. But never with sarcasm, never with grocery, never with jeopardizing anyone. Okay. 25. By attentively studying the character of the spirits who manifest themselves, especially from the moral point of view, we can recognize their nature and the degree of trust they deserve. Common sense can never be deceived. So that is really we should not judge. One is always said, you shall not judge, not to be judged. Okay. But not judging does not mean desist from the discernment and from the common sense. This is something we really have to keep. How can we distinguish good spirits from less good spirits if we don't have this discernment? If we think everyone is good, or no, he's saying something's wrong, but okay, let him talk a little bit. It's a charity to let him talk. We need to know what we want. Huh? And this common sense is really our only vaccine, our only infallible mean to not be misled. Okay. But it needs, as it is written here, attentive study. Okay. What is the character of the spirit? Is he how to say, really serious, or sometimes he's going a little bit too far in the opposite direction? The good spirits and the mentor are always benevolent. They are always, sweet. They do not. They are not strong and hard with us. Albeit, it depends also on the protected person. You see, for instance, Chico Xavier, when he talks about Emmanuel, Emmanuel was sometimes a little bit hard with him. Discipline, discipline, discipline. And can't you help me to get a cure of my eye? Who do you think you are? Go to the hospital like everyone, was the answer of Emmanuel. So sometimes he was hard with him. But this is, how to say, Emmanuel knows perfectly, the node did know perfectly the character of Chico, and he knew exactly how to behave with him in order to get the best out of him, to induce him to do the best out of him, you see. And I have another example. We had a historical French spiritist leader, which was in the 80s, 90s, in year 2000, Roger Perez. He had a mentor. He said always the one with, how do you tell, kepi, the hat of the militaries, And according to him, it was Maréchal Foch, which was a military leader, which was quite strong. And he was indeed quite strong also with Roger. But Roger always said, I know why I have him, because I'm undisciplined. I lack of discipline. I have a lack of discipline. So I needed a strong mentor in order to keep me in the right track. So this is what we have to see always. If it's really too hard to be hard and to deceive the protected one, then it's not a good sign. Voilà. So it's always the attention, the one which comes out of this moral evolution and willing always the best for anyone. So this is what we have to study of the character of the spirits. Why do they do that? Why do they tell it in this form? What is really their intention? Is there something ambiguous in what they are saying? This is what we have the discernment we have to exercise by using our common sense. 26. In order to judge both spirits and individuals, we must first know how to judge ourselves. So we talked just now about judgment. And here you see it comes back with the judgment. Before judging the others, we need to know how to judge ourselves. Unfortunately, there are people who make their own opinions the exclusive measuring stick for good and evil, trust and falsehood. I think this is good. Okay, you think it is good, but is it really good? How many times in the history of the humanity did we sing things which were admitted to be good and which later on have proven not to be so good and have been put aside? One of the difficulty of the knowing, making the difference between good and evil is our knowledge about the natural laws. If we don't know the lateral laws, we are not in the right position to judge whether something is good or not. We can do mistakes. We can give a lot of examples. Not so long ago, 100 or 150 years ago, slavery was admitted and fully legal. Today, it's absolutely condemned, albeit unfortunately, it does still exist under certain hidden forms. That's another story. But it is clearly admitted that forcing someone to work for free without regular compensation and not according to the labor's law and so on is something which is not good. Okay, so you see how the things evolved during a certain period. When I was young, a lot of people were smoking and it was considered to be good. You saw the actress or whoever on the TV smoking and so on. What happened then? They got ill, they had the cancer of the lungs and so on. So the science progressed and so showed the adverse effect of the smoking on our health. So what was considered good only a few decades ago is today not considered good anymore, you see. So this is why we have also always to stay humble here and to never think our opinion is the exclusive measuring stick for good and evil, because this is really something who can mislead us, okay? So this is why we need to judge ourselves. I know some persons, to make a caricature of them, I say, the law of natures are not like they are. The law of natures are like they or he or she thinks they are, you know. People who are absolutely sure of something, which is obviously false, you know. What can you do in those cases? Not a lot. You just go, see, evaluate, well, this is obviously false. He is absolutely convinced it is true, or this is obviously bad, and he's absolutely or she is absolutely convinced it is good. Patience. What can we do? Because those persons often take a long time to change their mind. It does not come from one day to the other, or very rarely. Everything that contradicts their way of seeing things, their ideas, or the theory they have invented or adopted, is bad in their sight. Such individuals obviously lack the first condition for correct evaluation, rectitude of judgment. However, they do not even realize it. This is the defect that produces the most illusion. So it's exactly what I said to you, but much better said and written by Kardec himself. And he's finishing by saying, all the above instructions are the result of experience and the teachings of the spirits. We shall supplement them with the answer provided in the spirits by the spirits themselves with regards to the most important points. So you see a checklist in 26 points that we have to know and apply. If we are in doubt, okay, let's go back to the basis. Let's go back to the checklist. And let's see if it passes all the 26 points, or if on one or the other of these points we have a doubt. And that is how we can make as neutral as possible opinion about the spirits which are communicating. Okay? Some question? Everything clear? Some remark? Other one, let's go to the questions he just announced. Questions concerning the nature and identity of the spirits. So 268. By what signs can we recognize high order and low order spirits? So it's exactly the question, how to say, according to the checklist we just saw. Let's see what the spirits are advising. By their language, just as you distinguish between a scatterbrain and a sensible person. We have already stated that high-order spirits never contradict one another, and they only address worthy matters. They only desire goodness, that is their sole preoccupation. So it's another good advice here, very clear. Voilà. No contradiction, one saying it's black, the other one saying it's white. Only worthy matters, so don't care about matters which are not worthy. Desiring only goodness. The sole preoccupation is the goodness, is to help us to progress and whatsoever. These are the high order spirits. Now, less evolved spirits are still dominated by their materialistic thinking. Their manifestations bear out their ignorance and imperfection. Only highly evolved spirits understand all things and judge them without passion. Okay, so you see, dominated by the materialistic thinking. We can see their ignorance and imperfection through their manifestations. Okay, so again, this common sense that we have to apply always. Second question, is a spirit's scientific knowledge always a proof of its elevation? So we have seen one of the advices exactly about this. So the spirit is of course answering no. Because it is still under the influence of matter, it could still possess your vices and prejudices. There are no people in your world who are excessively jealous and proud. There are people in your world who are excessively jealous and proud. Do you think they lose this defect when they leave the earth behind? After they have departed it, especially those who nourish strong passions, they are enveloped by a kind of atmosphere that retains all such evil things. So that is also clearly answering to one belief that at the beginning of the Spiritism, a spirit has said it, so it's good, so it's true, so whatever. No, not at all. Never, never, ever. The imperfection we have whilst alive, we take them with us when we go back to the spiritual world. The semi-imperfect spirits are to be more feared than downright evil ones, because most of them combine astuteness and pride with intelligence. You see, exactly what I said to you. The ones which are intelligent but not good, they don't have good intentions, these are the most dangerous ones. And so to be more feared. Their pretended knowledge enables them to impose themselves on simple and uneducated individuals who accept their absurd and erroneous theories without examining them. Although these theories cannot possibly prevail against the truth, they nevertheless produce a temporary evil because they hinder the progress of Spiritism and because mediums voluntarily close their eyes to the worth of the communications they receive. This point demands great study on the part of both enlightened spiritists and mediums. All attention should be geared towards distinguishing between truth and error. How many times did we see books that mediums receiving communications and then, okay, I will publish this communication into books. There is a such book in France, for instance, clearly saying the one who gave the answers was the spirit of Allan Kardec. Okay, so he puts the threshold very high. And when you read the book, the title of the book is The Influence of the Thoughts on the Well-Being or something like this. So it's a subject which is, how to say, open and calling attention based on some truth, you know. But when you read the books, really on the third or fourth page, you see immediately it cannot be the spirit of Kardec, cannot be. The whole book of 200 pages, Kardec maybe would have summarized it in one paragraph, in half a page. It's full of blah, blah, and so on. And then you see even things like sometimes you have the interrogation, questioning point and exclamation point and dots by 1, by 3, or by 7. what the hell is this? Why is it? So I asked it to the lady who wrote the book, why is it by 1, 3, or 7? 1 is when it's normal, 3 it's because when it's important, and 7 it's because when it is very important. And you have some pages where you have only exclamation marks and question marks and so on. And this dictated by Allan Kardec. So you see someone taking, wow, if this is Allan Kardec, I don't know, I don't even want to know more about him, you know. And this is giving huge prejudice, as it is written here, huh? It can hinder the progress of Spiritism. And some person who maybe would be able to get some knowledge and to progress, but they lose an opportunity simply because of publication of communications which are not good or which were not correctly filtered, analyzed by the mediums or by the spiritist groups where they have been received. This unfortunately happens a lot. I gave maybe a caricatural example, but you have a lot of others, a lot of books, even in Brazil, which really the content is not with not a lot of value. Okay. What time is it? We have still 5 minutes. Question number 3. Many protector spirits present themselves using names of saints and or well-known personages. What are we to think of this? And today even it's interesting when we see, you have a lot of people know they are the angels, they are archangels, they are blah blah. They put a kind of a hierarchy between the good spirits. And when I see those type of things, I always think, who am I, with my littleness, to judge and to make a ranking between elevated spirits? Is also something that does not make a lot of sense for me. Christine?
I was just going to say that since I've been studying Spiritism, and especially since we're going through this section, it just highlights it even more. Sorry, even more. I've been more I think more before I pick a book up that might be saying, the angels, are around you, and the book might be pretty in color and try and bring you in to say, this, if you use this book, you'll get in touch with the spirits, and they can give you peace, while you're here, and what to do with, if you come across a spirit. But I've just become very mindful of those books. I see them now as just they really don't add a lot of value. They don't have the substance that I can see here in Kardec's work, especially with going through this section.
Yeah, you are fully right, Christine. So Kardec, here you see it's dense. Sometimes it repeats. For instance, this question of the spirits is illustrating a little bit the basic principles he just showed above, but it's to help us to understand better. But when you go really, you see there is a deep content. You have a lot of information in few words, and not a lot of blah blah to say little things, This is also one of the signs, and I think it's one of the 26 points of the checklist, where we can identify the good spirits. They say the things in a very concise, straightforward, and simple manner, unambiguous manner. Liz?
Yeah, I completely agree with Christine about when you go and see all this material, this information around, you get to be more mindful. And obviously, many of them are full of mysticism and superstition. And then when you see that, they use a sort of language as they write, as they want to pass this information. And then you look about how we are here in our study and everything, and knowing from Spiritism how ingrained in the natural laws, how, for example, well, we are here studying mediumship, which for some people can be quite mystical and quite magical in a sense, and it was very much in the past generally viewed this way. But like the more we are studying, the more this is kind of becoming, oh my God, child's play, let's say. And then we're here studying that, something that is so natural, and yet we are still not having the full grasp and the full understanding. And for me, this is one of the aspects also of, you know, this information, the lack of interest. I totally agree with Christine, just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you, Liz. Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's absolutely true. So let's see the answer, just before we finish. All the names of saints are well-known personages and are not sufficient to designate the protector of each individual. There are very few spirits with names that are recognized on the earth. That is why they hardly ever give their names. Nonetheless, most of the time you would like a name. So in order to satisfy you, they take the name of someone you know and respect. So you see, it's also always an answer which is full of meaning, isn't it? So sometimes, no, I cannot believe, I cannot trust, I need the name of my mentor. Okay, I'm John. Or I'm, Michael, or I'm Saint Augustine, or whoever, They just give a name in order that you stay calm, and you do your job. You do what you have to do in your life to progress. And the same was questioned, for instance, with Joan of Arc in the book of Léon Denis. You see, because the spirits she was hearing were the spirits who were shown in the little church of the little city she was living. But of course, when you make a study, who are those saints? Did they really exist? Some of them, there are serious doubts they ever existed. Nevertheless, Joan of Arc made her job, and maybe if she would not have made their job, I would speak a better English today. But that's it. It was not what the spirituality wanted at that time. Okay, so even if they give name of saints, then you have some saints which must have a lot of people. They must have hundreds of protected, which makes them their life difficult to follow all of them. But again, important is not this. Important is to see in them the goodness and their elevation. Okay. So I would advise we stop here because we have still to make a prayer as we did in the two last sessions for the peace in the world. I don't know if someone is willing to drive this prayer for us. Otherwise, I would kindly ask Munir if you would like to do it for us.
Yes, let's do it. Let's now close our eyes. Thank the benefactors for this wonderful study. Put aside our problems, our doubts now, and concentrate during this special moment, dedicating it to our brothers and sisters in need all around the world. Let's join our best thoughts, our hearts, to those of the benefactors and groups all around the world who are making this tremendous effort to bring a bit of enlightenment, of peace, harmony, and hope to all corners of the earth. Let's think of those areas in our planet where there is greater need, where there is suffering, where our brothers and sisters are undergoing the most difficult situations, in life. And may those also who return to spirit be blessed by a bit of peace, of harmony in their minds and hearts, so that they can understand the purpose of all this. May we also make this extra effort to become better instruments of divine providence. For God works in the world through his creatures, through us. So let's extend these vibrations, these good vibrations, to hospitals, to areas where there is war, where there is famine, where people can't find hope and live in despair, with sadness, with physical pain. Let's ask our beloved Father that his love may begin a new day in the history of humanity, bringing the blessings of a more evolved world to our planet Earth and its inhabitants. So, with our hearts full of joy, full of gratitude, we want to thank our Father and Creator, our beloved Master Jesus, our guardian angel, and the good spirits, for allowing us to receive the teachings that we now receive, asking them to protect us from ourselves and the evil that still resides in us, and also help us to apply in our daily life. There's so much that we have been receiving. So with our hearts full of joy and full of gratitude, we ask their permission to end our study of today. So be it.
So be it.
So be it. Thanks a lot, Monique. Thanks a lot to you all.
Thank you.
Excellent
Thank
day.
you.
Excellent
Goodbye.
week. All the best.
Bye-bye.
God bless.
Thank you.
you.
God
Thank you.
bless. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.